pitted beside Spencer this year on purpose.
Okay.
Because I saw Spencer as you know who I'm talking about, Spencer Riddell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I saw him as a pretty steady kind of guy. Never saw him get upset. He'd been around the track for a long time.
Yeah.
And Gary actually at Flamborough said, Mark, go hang out with pit with Spencer.
Right.
So it helped me a lot this year because I got to be around him. And I also, it taught me, like, he could get upset too. I see him upset, but yeah, he controls it pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And that not a lot of people see it, experience it, but he still finds a way to get it out of his system.
Oh, he sure does. He's aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not afraid, and that's the way you got to be. You got to be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been a couple times we've been going down the straightaway, and I tend not to go as close to the wall as maybe people like. And one time Spencer basically pushed me into the wall.
No.
Didn't hit me, but kept getting closer to me. Mark, move up high. So he will assert himself when he needs to. And I've watched him how he races too. The few times I've been out and I've been able to watch him, and the way he uses the high side of the track. He's not afraid to run the high side, and basically that's what you're gonna have to do to be able to make a lot of passes at Flamborough.
Mm-hmm.
You got to learn high side.
Yeah, because everybody fights for the bottom. So if you can figure out how to run high, you can float your way around them.
It can be done. You just got to figure out what your entry has to be, and when you get back on the throttle. And I'm still working on that. And I know Mark Thorne said to me, I think it was last year, he goes, Mark, every time you go to practice, run the high side. Just stay on the high side. Don't even bother going on the.
Yeah.
And I've continued to do that, but it's tricky. It's tricky because if you go in a little bit too hot, you're in trouble, I think.
Well, yeah, I can see it. I can see it, because that wall will catch you.
Well, the car it gets more loose too. You're a lot more loose up there. The car reacts differently.
Right.
So it's just a matter of learning and repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Repetition. And some people like Spencer or even Cam Thompson.
Yeah.
Okay. They're just born with something in their brain that gives them the ability.
I think too. It's that young and you don't know any better kind of thing too. In that with some both.
I'm glad you said that, because right from the beginning, my philosophy when I started.
Yep.
Because my wife was against it. She was afraid, I'm just going to kill myself. But I promised her that I would do baby steps. And
okay.
The first race I ever was in, I was lapped 3 times. The second race was 2 times.
Okay, progress.
I got down to 1. And I think by the 4th or 5th race and my whole goal was to stay on the lead lap.
Yeah.
I think it took 4 or 5 races. And I was on the lead lap. Because it's intimidating. I mean, if you've never done it, you can't really move or see very good.
Yeah.
You have to have a mental picture of what's going on around you. You got to be aware all the time what's around you.
Yep.
And in the beginning, it's intimidating because it's just information overload.
Yeah. Oh, I can see where you come from with that.
And it takes a while. It took me probably the whole first year to get somewhat comfortable running in a pack close to each other.
Right.
But my philosophy was to go slow and to take baby steps along the way. I didn't want to, I heard about stories about guys coming out for their first time and hitting the wall, um, didn't want to do that. Even though I did, and I think, yeah, my first year I ended up, but it was the right approach. I really didn't even really race to some degree. I was more concerned about making sure I wasn't in the way, and if I had the opportunity to race after everything kind of
Sorted itself out.
sorted out, then I would race.
Right.
Because I was afraid, like, what if I wipe out in front of Wade or, or take Cam into the wall or something stupid like that.
Yeah, so I no, you're saying you don't want to risk taking out one of the leaders per se, or one of the quick guys in that. So, like you say, you kind of let it sort out to where you're in that pack of people that you're used to racing around, like same speed, same conception.
Yeah, and I was willing to be patient.
Right.
I knew I didn't come in with an attitude that I'm 58 years old. I've been driving my whole life. I know how to do this. But I remember thinking, like, I don't know how to do this. I've never done anything close to this. And
Yeah.
when you get that Hans device thing on, you can't turn your head. And I had my mirrors all in the wrong places. So I wasn't even really seeing what was going on.
Right.
Uh, so, but last year, uh, a lot of good things happened last year
So
for
what?
me anyway.
So with that in mind, what moment from last season stands out the most for you?
Probably, well, there's two.
Okay.
Probably the thing I was the most proud of, because it was my goal, is to to be competitive as far as speed is concerned. Like with my lap time, I was
Yeah.
always, a half a second, 4/10, 3/10. So last year I started out, and every race, every week that I was there, I got faster.
Right.
And at Frostfest in qualifying, I did a 19.3.
Okay.
That was up with the leaders. I mean, they're starting to get over under 19, but um, I qualified seventh,
Hey,
I think.
that's very respectable.
Um, so it was funny. I remember Alex Stewart saying to me, uh, Mark, now you're fast enough when there's no one out there, but when there's a bunch of cars, it's a different thing. And he's right. Now I have to take that speed, the setup in the car that I like, how I enter the corner when I can't enter it the way I want to enter it. Um, uh, I got to take that, and I got to get into the racecraft part of it now.
Mm,
Learn how to run. Like, I look back at some of the videos, and I'm 4 feet away from the car beside me, and I know Leo a couple times. I think when we've been in the corner, because him and I have been close to each other a lot, he hits me on purpose just to kind of wake me up. He likes to be hit. So, like, I need to get within inches.
yeah.
Forget about feet. Um, so this year, um, that's my goal this year, is to start to learn how to race a bit more now that I'm comfortable in the car and I can keep up,
Yeah.
kind of. I think if I get to start out front, because I had a couple seconds last year in the third, and if I get to start out front, Wade is sick, Cam is at the very back, but ends up getting taken out halfway through. Spencer, I don't know, something happens to him too.
He just has an off night, he doesn't go off or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think that might happen this year. I've come close,
Yeah.
um, and just run like a scared rabbit. Um, if I got one of those this year, that would just be awesome. I don't think I'm ready to come from 10th to the front,
Yeah.
but if I get open track and I get a plate, I can run where I want to run. Um, I think I can, as long as Wade's not behind me or can't, one of those guys, because they right now whenever they get behind me,
Yep.
they're patient.
Mm.
They just wait. They go, we know Mark, give him a lap and a half, maybe two. There'll be a little hiccup somewhere. And it's true,
Yep.
and when that little hiccup comes, it's like lightning shot, goes by you.
Yeah. No, because that's how close though the division is, and competition wise, and that the slightest mistake can cost you everything.
Oh, the competition there is pretty tight,
Hmm.
pretty tight. Um, I think last year at Flamborough. Now, if you ask us, of course, we're going to say that because we're pure stock. But I think we were putting on the best shows. We had, good car numbers. We weren't having stupid wrecks. We were
No.
racing. There was a few stupid wrecks here and there, and I know at Frost Fest, wasn't there a car upside down on fire facing the wrong way or
There,
something?
yeah, there was a bit of a dramatic occurrence on the backstretch.
But there's, for the most part, people respect each other out there, and uh, you got guys like Wade that have been doing it for 13, 14 years, and they race twice a week, and they're racing on dirt, and a guy like that has been behind the wheel for so long, like um, if to him trying to get by someone like me right now is pretty easy pickings.
Hmm.
I think when he comes up against someone like Cam or Spencer, he probably can still get by them, but he's going to have a little bit more trouble
Yeah.
getting by those kind of guys. But I look up to Wade, though.
Hmm.
I really do. Even though he's a younger dude than me, I think he's 28 or something like that. Or um,
Probably around there. Yeah.
I look up to him because I think he's a pretty professional guy.
Yes, I've noticed that in the time that I've spent talking with Wade and like hanging around like with him and that and like his group that he hangs with, and that whether it be
He
like his
gives me.
dad or the.
Oh, his dad is great too. Both him and his dad have given me great advice. Um, they don't say a whole lot, but the advice I've gotten from him at certain moments
Hmm.
uh, has been awesome.
It's good.
I pay attention to it.
Right.
I pay attention to because I just look at what he's got under his belt as far as driving is concerned.
Yeah.
And even someone like Jillian Hills.
Hmm.
I mean, she's right up there too,
Oh yeah.
right with those guys. Absolutely. And has won championships.
Yep.
Um,
And I mean,
I talk,
he runs well both on asphalt and dirt, which says a
yeah.
lot because not a lot of people can do that where they go back and forth. I mean,
Well,
Wade's another one though too. Like we've seen, him go play on dirt and have fun, and success.
I don't know if you know Jillian's story, but when you grow up from a little kid driving cars in your backyard around trees, um, you know, you
You're
probably become a
destined to be
decent driver
successful.
or dead. Yeah, and that she knows how to make a car go.
Yeah.
Um, it's too bad she doesn't come out more on a regular basis. I think she would just add to that whole group. Um, because not only that, they're all really good people, and even though you want to beat each other and kind of, we can have fun
Hmm.
outside of that. And even if we have disagreements, we can work through those disagreements.
Right.
I think that's the way it should be.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I
it's
mean,
pretty hard. It's pretty, at times, because it's a pretty intense sport.
well, I kind of say it's about a series, but also about certain divisions at tracks. It's like a dysfunctional family,
Yeah.
and that sometimes we get along, some days we are not happy with each other. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're all stuck together, racing each other, so we might as well figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry, I just kind of started spewing. Um,
No, I think sometimes the best interviews and stuff you get is just from casual conversation like this, and that's so
I love spewing. I mean, you can probably talk to the people that, I just want to have fun, and I probably ask a lot of stupid questions and say a lot of stupid things, and um, but just want to have fun and
yeah,
uh, be competitive with all these youngins and um, beat them.
right. Show them who's
Yeah,
boss.
yeah. I think it might happen. Maybe, maybe. But the person I probably have the most fun racing with,
Yep.
and I bet you a lot of people at Flamborough would say the same thing,
Okay.
is Leo.
Leo is a good time. I'm not. I can admit that one.
Well,
No, Leo's awesome.
I can tell you a couple stories about Leo, because for whatever reason, in my first year or two, I happened to run into Leo a few times. Because I could never. Leo's hard to pass,
Right.
and he's hard to pass. Some say he's got a big butt. It's more than that. I think I've discovered he rides between the lanes.
Okay.
He makes it hard,
Yeah.
and in my attempts to pass him through
Yep.
different things, I've hit him a few times. And there's a one picture I have on my wall of me actually running over his hood. And I remember that incident with that when that happened. I really didn't know him, and when we got off and we get out of the car and he comes walking over, and he I could tell his demeanor was good.
Yeah.
He just came up and gave me a great big hug, and he said, "Wasn't that awesome?" Um, and that's what he's like.
Yeah.
He wants contact
Right.
in the corner. He wants to uh, put a little extra spice into it, I guess, maybe. Um,
And he wants to be the entertaining factor.
yeah, let's throw a twist at it here a little bit, you know. So I have to conclude my thing with Leo with Peterborough,
Okay.
because in the 3 years at Flamborough, I haven't been able to pass Leo. I've tried and I just can't get by him.
Yeah.
And I passed him at Peterborough,
Like.
and I was pretty happy about that. In fact, I wouldn't shut up about it for the rest of the day and the next day. And in fact, I still haven't shut up about it, even though I promised Leo that after Peterborough I would stop saying I've passed Leo. My life's complete.
So now we got to make sure Leo hears this and that, so he can hear it again.
Oh, sure. And he reminded me I still haven't passed him at Flamborough,
Oh, okay.
which is true.
Yep.
So
They still got
I
that one
will
up on you.
I will be passing him this year at Flamborough. I hope he makes it extremely hard for me. And I hope that, we have contact,
Hmm.
but that's it. And he's like, after I passed him there at Peterborough, the same thing. He gave me a great big hug, and He's just a guy that is a good influence
Right.
to have around.
No,
He li-
I can agree with that. I mean, you need guys that are positive like that.
he can deflect. He uses humor and different ways of deflecting, you know, frustrations and things like that, and is willing to be self-deprecating, you know, to sort of break it.
Right.
And um, he's a good influence for any young person
Mhm.
uh, getting into it to see what that type of attitude can lead to.
Right.
He wants to win just as much.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's won a championship.
Yep.
Uh, you know, his car, he's made some changes to his car. It's a little bit faster now.
Right.
Um, but uh, yeah, he wants to do the same thing, but he's willing to have a little bit more fun than most,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, I mean, we've kind of covered this. It sounds like the excitement is high ahead of the season, and
Oh
that,
yeah,
and
oh
that,
yeah,
yeah. And I mean, because again, like you said, you had the success last year. Now it's just building upon that to the next step.
yeah. What I'm hoping to do, because my first both my first and second year, I didn't run the whole schedule. I missed July
Okay.
basically because we went camping, and as things worked out this year, we're staying home.
Okay. So
So
you're tackling the 20 race schedule
I'm
that is there.
running them all, and I'm gonna be top 5 in points.
There you go.
It's all about trying to be consistent,
Yep.
um, and I think it's doable. And you know, I won't have an excuse. You know, I missed 4 races or whatever it is. Um, it's not gonna be easy though, because uh, with the drivers that are at Flamborough,
Yeah.
um, it'll be a battle for me to get there. But um, I think I can. I
I think
really do.
so.
I think my car is fast enough.
Right.
I think I finally learned kind of how to drive it.
Now, are we
Yeah.
bringing the same look with the whole pit bull feel, or are we going something different?
No, it's the same. Couple little changes. My numbers, the way my numbers looked, I'm changing them. I wasn't happy with them last year.
Okay.
Still gonna have, it's a pug actually.
Sorry, that I knew it was a dog, and I couldn't remember exactly what dog it
Yeah,
was. And that,
yeah.
because I knew,
It's
because I mean, that's how first like I became really a parent of you, which is everybody talking about the car and that the look of it and
it's
the fact the
funny.
whole
Oh,
dog thing.
I gave out a bunch of pug stickers. The face that's on my hood.
Yep.
Uh, I had it in a round sticker and gave them out to everybody. You know, so every car, at least in pure stock, and maybe a few outside of that, I'm not sure,
Yep.
had a pug sticker on it. And I remember a kid in the pits asking if I owned some of these cars. No, no, but yeah, changing the numbers. I'm thinking about doing some T-shirts, especially for the moments when the kids come into the pits.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I don't know how this idea might work out, but the numbers aren't huge that come in there. You know, sometimes there'll be 4 or 5 or something like that. So I was thinking about maybe having some T-shirts that I can give or something like that to them, not to adults can pay.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's kind of weird to have a kid come up to you. I had one kid come up to me, and this is a true story, even though it sounds insane or a little out far fetched. But he said that his grandmother in Europe, I guess he'd been sending her the races,
Yeah. Like
just seeing them.
pedal power
Uh,
broadcast and
and
stuff.
she has a pug and she loves pugs. And she saw my car and I had to autograph something for her.
Oh wow. You got fans all around the world.
I went, holy mackerel, is this, but I think that's kind of cool. The kids coming in and um, uh, everybody in the pits, um, especially Spencer next to me. Spencer's just wonderful with the kids.
Mhm.
They all get to sit in the car and all that kind of stuff. And um, it kind of makes you feel good,
Yeah,
when that kind of stuff's going on. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great year. I think our numbers at Flamborough are going to be good.
good.
Um,
Well,
I'm hoping. Well,
talking to people now, a lot of useful faces, like ones that we've talked about throughout this whole thing, are coming back, which is great, and that because that means we'll keep the same great competitive fun racing that we've seen this like so far.
and the good uh,
Mhm.
group of people
Mhm.
too, for the most part,
Yeah.
are all pretty tight. And you got like you got Alex, who's a little sometimes he could be, and Brady, man, Brady, he was doing so well until he started hitting walls and shit. Um, but they're just fun people to be around.
Yeah.
You know, yes, they get frustrated, and yes, they want to win, and they get upset sometimes. But for the most part, um, they're just a lot of fun to be around. And for me, as an older dude, uh, to observe their behavior uh, makes me laugh. Really makes me laugh because it brings back, keeps me young, and it brings back memories of me when I was that age and kind of not knowing better and throwing stuff to the wind.
No, I can see that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to watch. Frustrating sometimes though, because
Right.
you can kind of see what's coming.
Yeah. Oh no, we know what they're gonna be saying.
Oh yeah, like I knew Brady was going to hit the wall that day.
Right.
Yeah, I just knew it. I could tell every lap that he was going around the way his car was acting. And because when I got knocked out early, I was standing at the fence. Um, and every time he came around, I remember thinking in my head, wall's coming, wall's coming. And sure enough, it came. And then that's when we had that upside down facing the wrong way on fire.
Yep.
Um, like Brady was driving a little harder than his car would allow him to, I think. And I
Oh,
think being a young fella, he'll probably learn that he just needs to tone it back a little bit.
yeah.
Um, he did at the beginning of the year, and then he started to, you know, push his luck a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's learning that balance of being patiently aggressive, as they say. And that aggressive enough that you get there and you accomplish your goals, but yet patient enough to know when it's too much.
Exactly, because I think there's moments in the race where you kind of go in neutral. Where you kind of, no, I'm not going to take that hole right now.
Yeah,
No, I'm going to do this. And when the moment comes, and that's what racecraft is.
yep,
And that's, I think, a skill that takes a while to develop, and just by learning about it by watching races and things like that. Like I
right.
know at Peterborough, Sean, that won the mini stock there.
Sean Taylor.
Yeah,
Yep.
I got to see racecraft
Oh,
because that guy,
that was
that guy,
picture perfect in that racecraft with how like him and Doug battled it
he
out
did,
and the
and
timing
he
of it.
did it on the last lap
Yeah.
or the second last lap, and he was patient.
Yep.
He waited for the moment, and then he got aggressive
Yeah.
and just turned it on.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what you got to learn. You got to learn when to make that move and when not to make that move.
Right.
And that makes a difference between someone who, wins and someone who ends up in the wall.
No, you're not wrong, right? It's like recognizing the signs. Like you said with Brady, you knew it was coming just by watching him, right?
I
And
could
that's
tell
so
just the way the attitude of the car in the corner,
yeah.
and knowing Brady and knowing that he really wants it, and he's pushing, and he's a young guy, and you know what I mean. He's not thinking about that. You
Yeah.
know, um, I love the kid. I think he's a great kid.
He's good
Uh,
photos too, and that like I used to follow his photo stuff before he actually decided to get behind the wheel himself.
and I can tell you, we went go karting. There was a group of 8 or so of us from Flamborough that went go karting. And Brady's light and he's fast, man. He can really go. And I think he's a good driver. I think no way. I think he's going to become
There
a
you go.
good driver. I think he has talent.
Yep.
However, he needs to just restrain that, because I really think he has the ability to win.
Right.
There's no doubt about that.
Oh, I think it's
Yeah.
coming. I'd say he'd be on the list of like if you were to make a list of guys that are going to get their first win in the next couple of years, he'd be on that list for sure. And that just looking at how much he's improved.
This year, it'll happen for him this year.
Yeah.
And I remember even Spencer at the beginning of last year, and I'd sort of watched Spencer that one year. I saw some of the races that he was in, and Spencer didn't think he was going to do as well as he did.
Okay.
It, I knew it.
Yeah.
I could tell.
Right.
Um, I knew he was going to get a win, and I knew he was going to get more than one win.
Right.
And he ended up getting 3, I think.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
was multiple in that, which was great to see.
because he goes places other people don't go.
Hmm.
And if you're going to pass someone,
Go where they're
and I
not.
think I've had a few old timers tell me this. Um, what was it now?
I've heard a version of go where they're not, and that but
You drive where they're not.
yeah.
So if everybody's sticking to the bottom, you're driving on the top.
Yep.
And I've watched him. In fact, there was one when he blew his engine or he had his problem. I let him take my car out. I was out of the points. I'd missed races, and I didn't want to see him. He was at the time, I think, second or third in points.
Okay,
Uh,
so with a good shot at the title.
yeah, so he took my car out. I sat in the. It was kind of odd, and I told him, just drive it, just go. And he was driving that car like I remember, and people were laughing in the stands. Like, I've never seen my car that high. Look where the hell it is. Um, he stands out
Hmm.
in that, and I think he's still learning how to do that.
Yeah, or
Um,
he's not like he's not a guy that's been racing a whole long time either.
that's what I mean. He's still learning how to do that.
Yeah.
He's going to get better.
Yeah. Scary for the competition, but great for him.
He's going to get better. No, it's going to be great for guys like Wade and guys like um, Jordan Fiddler,
Oh,
their team.
yeah, Fiddler and Wilms.
Wilms, that guy can drive.
Yep.
I mean, the shift like he was shifting 2 times a lap. Wait, 1, 2, 4 times a lap. No, 2 times a lap. Pretty incredible.
Mhm.
The way that guy can drive. You and Wade and those guys, they want more competition. So Spencer, I hope he gets even better the high side, which I think he's going to, and get better at his racecraft and when to go and when not to go. Because I know he's talked about, like he says, sometimes I'm not aggressive. And I think what he's seeing is there's moments he's not aggressive when he needs to be.
Mm.
It's not overall, it's just those
Those
little
small, slim
windows.
missed opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think all those guys, if you asked all them, they'd want it.
Yeah.
They'd want more of that because it makes it more fun for them.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, if they were racing a bunch of pugs out there, it probably wouldn't be, so much fun. They could just go around and
Okay, but a bunch of pugs would be cute.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're kind of cute and ugly, kind of fugly or whatever they are.
The
Uh,
word.
they're great, loving dogs, and they're a little crazy, and they say that when whatever dog you own, you start looking like. And there's no doubt I'm looking more pugly every day. I'm kind of loving it. It's my goal.
Oh,
But I just want to stay young. I think I and it's funny, Ashley. I learned this um, in my life from some older dudes that I knew that were 10 or 15 years older than me and behaved like 18-year-olds. And not all the time.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
responsible parents.
Yep.
They were responsible people. But
They knew how to cut loose when it was time for fun.
oh baby. And before I'd met these people, I didn't know how to do that.
Right.
And it's made all the difference as you get older to have that kind of attitude.
Hmm.
To try to think young and not be afraid to take chances.
Right.
And I think anybody that's racing is probably a bit of an adrenaline junkie or a speed junkie or a danger junkie.
Right. It's got to
Um,
play in part. It's got to play in the psyche somehow a bit.
oh, it does because that does for me.
Hmm.
Um, it's a drug. There's no doubt about it. It's a rush. Uh, I come off the track sometimes shaking.
Right.
That's how much adrenaline's going through me. Um, but it's awesome though.
Hmm. Well,
Un,
hey,
un,
that's what matters.
Unfortunately, it only lasts like 8 minutes.
Whatever it takes to do 20 laps of Flammy.
Yeah, you work all the time on the car and you do all the stuff, and everybody, you got to spend time, but
Yeah.
and you do it for 2 8-minute races a week, and it's the best rush in the world.
Right.
And I think 99% of the people there are there for that more
Right.
than anything. They might say we're here to win, and yeah, they're there to win, but there's also something else. They like the risk taking, they like the speed, they like the other parts of it too,
Hmm.
um, which I've always kind of had.
Right.
Never ever thought that I would race cars though.
But yeah, here we
Never,
are.
never. But you can never say the never too, and you gotta be willing to take risks. And I think that's what I was willing to do. And there's probably a lot of older people and other people that should try it. They might be surprised, and um, keeps you alive.
Yeah. Well, it's true, right? Because like you say, you have that adrenaline every week, and that something something that keeps you thinking.
Yeah, and it's changed a lot too over the years. Like I remember when I first started going to races, my dad took me. I think I was 8 years old. It was in the mid '70s.
Right.
Um, Howie Scannell was my favorite driver,
Okay.
uh, and Billy Lyon in the vintage modified.
Right. But
Uh,
so
and
Billy
they had,
Lyon, would that be Steve Lyon's dad?
yep,
Okay.
Number 9, believe it. Um, that's when they had like 40,
Yeah, yeah.
30.
Well, yeah, because that's back when the Shaws had a vintage modified too, and that like, there was
It was they had the best races. I remember as a kid. I remember one of them flipping right over the fence. And, there was all kind. It was probably my favorite division as a kid,
right.
next to the late model.
Okay.
Um, Probably Howie Skedal was. I mean, my first car. I even thought about '99, but um, because as an 8, 9, 10-year old,
Hmm.
uh, you look up to someone like that. Um, and it was a lot of fun, and it was pretty intense back in the day, like with Biederman, who I know my dad hated.
So, was your dad a Hanley fan then?
Yeah, for sure. He was a Hanley fan.
Mhm.
Whenever Junior Hanley came to the track, and it wasn't all the time. I don't remember him being there all the time,
Right.
but whenever he came, he taught everybody a lesson pretty well. Um, he was always very competitive. If the most competitive car. Remember Earl Ross being there. The Grady, Rich Grady, was it? Maybe the
Yeah,
'79.
I think I remember hearing that name when it came to the Flamborough Hall of Fame, and that. So you're probably right.
Yeah, the '79 service station or something was the sponsor. Those guys. I mean, there was a lot of wrecks.
Yeah.
There was a
Oh, that
lot
was
of
more the
wrecks.
hard day, the hard attitude days of it, right? And that before we got to more calmer days because we realized how much it costs.
Well, the other thing is too that I think's changed because I've asked back in those days, like they were fighting all the time.
Yeah,
This is what I was told. Like
I've
it was
heard
like
that too.
pretty well a fight fest. And I think today it's a little different.
Yep.
Back then, maybe you had a chance of earning a living at it. It would have been very difficult.
Hmm.
You had to work your ass off, and few guys did it. Right?
Yep.
Junior Hanley did it. Biederman did it. I'm not sure whatever other drivers
From that
were
air.
in that department. Is that possible today? I don't think so.
I mean, we're seeing it with young, talented kids on the late models here that try to take it to the States, like Lapsoviches and stuff and that, and how difficult it is to make it in that ride and
It's
make
all
it
about
in that
money.
opportunity.
It's all about money.
Yep.
The price, I mean, in comparison, like in the '70s, if you compared what that car was based on, to what people made
Yeah.
compared to what it is today, it's so different because um, there's all these innovations and lighter and all this. So it's become a very money driven thing.
Yeah.
And I
You're not
think you
wrong.
can be a very talented driver, but not have the finances, and
Mhm.
you're never going to do it. You look at someone like Joe. Um,
Lawrence or
I know Chris. I don't know Joe, but Joe to me is a standout.
yeah.
Um, Whenever he comes into pure stock, he makes us all look silly,
He says he has fun racing you guys, and he says he'll never stop doing it because he has the fun, and
and
that's a
that's
nice
fine.
little.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But this guy's on a different level.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
he really is.
Hmm.
He's on a different level, and for the way that they competed in that series with the budget that they had, the kid's got talent.
Yeah.
Now he's getting his chance now, um, and anything is possible.
Yep.
But for a guy like that doesn't necessarily have a bunch of money behind him, it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
But let's hope he can show himself, or all those guys too. I
Yeah.
mean, every single one of them. It would be awesome. I think they're all talented drivers. There's what
There's
Kyle Stackley,
Kyle. Yeah, Kyle Steckley's doing the ASA tour, which is the
right?
same tour that Joe's doing.
Yep,
And then Trayton Lapsovich is doing the Cars tour, and
yep,
that with Chad Bryant Racing.
yep.
But it's great to see because I mean we went for a while where we saw Jared Fitzpatrick go down and that
Yep.
and have decent, you know, he had opportunities with Truck and Xfinity till money ran out, and we go
Hmm.
back to that money thing. So it's nice now to see all three of these kids getting opportunities with top notch U.S. late model deals, you know, and hope that
Yes.
they can prove something.
And I was at 22 Racing
Okay,
a couple years. I had to go there to pick up a rim,
right on. Okay,
and I actually talked to Kyle um, and saw their shop. Their shop is
you can see why
super.
they're successful.
Uh, I mean, they're professional. Put it
Yeah.
that way. Their shop is as good or than any other professional team. Um, uh, Very soft, well spoken, um, humble.
Hmm.
Uh, his dad has definitely had to work hard to, build his business and the racing on top of that. And I think Kyle uh, deserves it. I think he's worked hard, just like I think all of them have. I don't know Trayton. I've
Right.
never, but I've watched, and he's another special one. And I think they all have a chance, but anything can happen. It's just your opportunity is so short.
Yes. No, 100%. There's so much pressure to perform. And that if you're not winning that first year, they're already thinking of who's that next great kid we can maybe pick that will win.
Well,
And that.
yeah, like you look at hockey, which is a sport us Canadians all kind of
Hmm.
half love or whatever.
Yep.
And I know a kid right now who is getting his chance in the NHL. He'll probably, you know, it could be 10 games. It could
Right.
be 5 games. You got to, every single time you're either on the track or you're on the ice, you have to shine
Yeah.
because that opportunity is that short
Yep.
and it can be all over before you even know it.
Oh, 100%.
And it could be outside of your control too, like with a race car. Like if you look at what happened with Joe down in Florida there, uh, the car was acting up, I think, right from the word go.
Yeah. Well, and he had the tire go down in practice the one day, which obviously any setback you have, especially with how close the racing is there, is going to be
Yeah.
that much more detrimental.
So the pressure is pretty intense.
Hmm.
But I think those guys can all handle it. I mean, if they're racing at that level, they understand it.
Oh, yeah.
They know how to control it. And I wish them all the best, and I hope they all do well.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Same here. I mean,
Go Kim.
I've watched them all grow as drivers, you know, from when they started, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's amazing to see that progress and now where they are now, and that like I remember Kyle's first couple races with the mini stock and that with the Mustang,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that I was at Sunset actually for Trayton's debut,
yeah.
and that when they first started testing him, well, actually the thing with Trayton was back then they were all worried about the age, so they
How
made him
old was
test.
he when he started?
He was 11,
And
11.
what division?
So it is compared to what bone stock is now, but it
Okay.
was
Yep.
Mighty Mini. We called it Mighty
Yep.
Mini then, and it would be the
Okay.
exact same rules that mini stock have, but in a
Okay.
supposed to be a startup division, right? So,
Yep. Yep.
and if you won the championship in Mighty Mini at Sunset, or if you broke a certain threshold with speed, they would bump you
Yep.
up to mini stock. And that.
Okay.
So, because they
Okay.
had so many mini stocks, they split it into two divisions. And that, like a
Right.
starter class and a more experienced class, if you will.
Yep. Yep.
But
Well,
like,
they all started at the bottom then.
yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, like Kyle started when he was like 13, like in the Mustang and
yeah,
that. Like I say,
yeah.
Trayton, it was 11 in that because they had him doing test days by himself, and then he had to do so
Okay,
many practice hours with other cars and stuff
okay.
before they would even let him run a race,
Yes,
which was nice.
yeah.
It's good. It's good to see they had like, it's on one hand, it's like, oh, okay, you're judging based off age and that, but on the other hand, it's nice to see that you're looking out for the experience level.
Well, it's kind of there. I kind of know of a situation that is happening right now at with Nick Clark.
Okay.
Um, I love Nick Clark, by the way. If you're listening, Nick Clark, I love you. Um, Nick Clark built my car.
Okay.
Well, I tore it apart. He did the cage and the other stuff, and then I did it from there. And he's
I
been my
I absolutely love his hot rod. I'm a
yeah,
Mustang lover, and the baby blue, the fact he went with that color, with that body style, it just loved it
yeah,
from when he debuted it.
yeah. Um, no, he's been wonderful to me. I had to learn how to become sort of a mechanic. See, I had no mechanical skills at all.
Okay.
So I would, there'd be something going on with the car, and I mean, Nick allowed me sort of just to call him up and ask him a question, and half of them were pretty stupid questions, but uh, he helped me through it. But I know his son
Yes,
uh, is either 10 or 11. I
Josh.
think Josh, great kid.
Yep.
Had him racing at Grand Bend.
Yes. Yep.
I think in a Ford Fiesta. I think.
Yes. Yeah. Because they started a kid stock class,
Right,
and that were supposed to be like younger kids, but in the same cars that the same cars you were allowed to drive when you got the 13, 14.
right. At the same time, he was taking Josh to Varney,
Okay.
practice, renting the track or practice time, and he would run 200 laps. He would run them. He had a radio, so he could talk to him, and he's got him to the point where that kid is now going to run the fun stock there this year, and be competitive and safe, and I would race with them.
Yeah.
Uh, not an issue, and I think he's been willing to put in the time and the effort.
Yep.
The kid wants to race.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it does seem young, but
He's grown up around it, and if he wants to do it, and like you say, he's putting in the time, the concentration, the effort, and listening to that advice from dad, and being willing to take that time to do those 200 laps, then
I
hey, go for it.
I've told Nick this. That's special, and that
Yeah.
happens a lot in with racing. There's been fathers and sons and uh, daughters, whatever.
Yeah, whole
I think that's
family.
pretty special. I wish I had something like that. I think it's awesome that he would do that for his son, and he's had to adjust his. You're not going to be seeing no Mustang anymore.
I know, I saw that. Well, he said limited schedule, so he said he probably run like a couple races here and there, but like you say, with his son's schedule and doing the Varney late model thing, it's gonna take up all his time.
That's why he's doing the Varney late model thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure to
because of his
be able
kid's
to do.
schedule.
Sure, because last year he was trying to do that, and he's driving. I don't know how many hours it is to Grand Bend, but you know,
Yeah, it got to
um,
be a lot.
yeah. But he, he's a guy you can really pick out the guys that really love the sport.
Right.
Wade is one
Yep.
for sure. Nick for sure.
Oh yeah.
He is so reasonable and kind. He probably doesn't want people to know that, but
Well, I was just gonna say he helps out so many people and that with different, with their cars and stuff too. On top of being the great guy he is at the track.
he does. He does. And so I'm so happy that fate brought us together at one point.
Right.
Because of the first car that I bought um, was racing at Sobel. It was an ex Varney car, but it was a mini stock.
Okay.
So even though it was still illegal to run at Flamborough as a pure stock, I had Nick detune it.
Right. Take all the
And
little tricks and whistles that make a mini stock what it is out.
that's how I met him.
Okay.
And he was willing to do it for nothing.
What a guy.
And right away, I
Yeah.
picked up on him that he's the kind of guy you got to give some respect to and not take advantage of, because he is kind and he loves the sport. And if you love the sport, he wants to help you.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I couldn't do what I'm doing without having his support in the beginning, like I had,
Right.
to be able to learn, uh, or when I busted a bolt, snapped a bolt off in my subframe, who I could call. Go, help.
We don't call Racing World. No, you don't call Ghostbusters. You call Nick Clark.
Yeah. And I have no problem driving to Holstein. I mean, I've got to go to the Holstein General Store, man. Like, if you haven't been to the Holstein General Store or the chip stand, and I should be getting, maybe they should give me some sponsorship. Um, you need to go to Holstein just for the general store. And if you go there, you will have to go by Nick's. And now that he's official, with his business, there's a
Yep.
sign on the place.
Oh, so everybody can
Before,
find him.
before it was like, incognito.
Yep.
Uh, and now there's a sign out there. So, um, the guy's good at what he does too, and he understands when it comes to cobalts and Cavaliers,
Yeah.
uh, wiring, anything.
Right.
Uh, he knows it all. There's no doubt.
Well, and I mean, and he was a good when he used to race one like back his mini stock days. He was good with it too. So it's not a surprise, right? I mean, he was successful with it, and he was successful with his wife Andrea running one in that.
Yep. I think he won multiple championships and, uh,
I'm
dominated.
like
Dominated.
I'm unaware of the exact numbers, but I know like because he was a Varney guy when he was doing that, and I
Yeah.
wasn't following all the tracks at that point. But there's a guy that you hear Varney. Nick Clark was a name mentioned, just like you'd hear Flamborough, and then for mini stocks it was Dave Bailey, and that there's certain
Yes.
names, certain tracks.
Yes. I know Nick at Varney because I've heard this in the wind at Holstein. Dominated
Yeah.
that division, when he was racing. In fact, he got to the point where they were sick of him.
You won too much when.
Well, people might think about Dave Bailey that way too. I
Yep.
mean, guys that sort of, God, when are you going to let someone else win?
So I'm gonna add the icing on the cake to connect all this around.
Yeah.
Lapsovitz, we were talking about him.
Yeah.
His race car came from Bailey.
Really?
Yep. Trayton Lapsovitz's first mini stock was the one that Bailey was dominating with a Flammy.
Okay.
So see how the circle of life all connects now.
Yeah. Yeah. And they probably had a decent car too.
Yeah.
It was probably, well, look, they seem to be, I don't, like I say, I don't know them, but
Yep.
from a distance, what I see is people that are dedicated.
Oh yeah.
And if you're
And that's
dedicated,
not just like Jeff himself, their dad. That's all the kids and that. Like they're always spending time in the shop and that.
that's that being dedicated is the sort of the secret sauce to success, man.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be persistent and dedicated and educate yourself and work hard at it and understand it. It just doesn't come easy.
No.
Um, you know, they may have some financial means or the ability, you know, to bring that together more so, but it's not a free ride. They're earning every inch of it.
Mhm. I think
Um,
it's true for anything in life, though. If you really want it, you got to go out and get it. And that.
exactly. You know, I believe this as a 60-year-old now, and I remember even thinking of this when I was younger. Anything's possible within a reason. I mean, I wasn't smart enough to be a astronaut or a brain,
Oh, okay, so
but
you're not going to be the brain surgeon that we meet in the operating room.
yeah. um, you know, but um, your dreams can come true. You can really make things happen if you want them to happen.
Right.
Uh, you know, this me racing at 58, uh, it was an 8-year old's dream,
Right.
9-year old, and that was implanted in me at a young age. And then when all the moons lined up, you know, in a certain order, the opportunity was there.
Right.
And that was planted, you know, and it just, you know, right into it. Um, it's great as a kid to be exposed to different things and to find out, you know, what you love and what you know, things like that. And car racing, uh, you know, as a younger kid, went all the time with my dad. As I became an adult and had kids and life was beating the shit out of me, I probably didn't go as much.
Right.
Uh, Watched a lot on, you know, on TV and stuff like that, more so. But racing's always been there, always that, you know, and you may think that a lot of time, you know, it's never going to happen, but anything can happen
Yep.
if you want it bad enough. And, you know, you just have to be willing to, as jump off the cliff, I call it.